Okay, welcome back to the Bootleg Corner. It is movie review hours once again, and the topic of the day is Penguin Episode 3. Now, the last episode ended with an alliance between Oswald and Sophia, and this one begins with a backstory on Victor and a little snippet of his life right until he met the Penguin. Now, with this flashback, we can also retrace the Riddler's actions and come to the conclusion that he was one very foolish man, because for all his talk about punishing Gotham's elites, blowing up the Seawolf didn't attack the elites. Instead, it was the normal, poor and working class people of Gotham who were affected the most. At the end of the Batman movie, we could even see it that it was only downtown Gotham that had gotten hit with the flood, and now we can see with Victor's perspective how much of that damage hit Lower Gotham severely. Moving on, I predicted in the first episode that the new drug would be a Scarecrow's fear toxin mixed with something else, but it appears that I was wide off the mark with that. So the directors have gotten one over me, and I'm pretty okay with that, because it is not going to be exciting if I can easily predict the outcomes of the next episodes. But Oswald and Sophia are in a new partnership, learning to trust each other, or maybe not trust each other as the case may be, but they will need a certain level of understanding to work with each other. The new drug shipment, however, is sourced from Arkham Asylum before being mutated into something else, and I feel like the mutation is necessary to dilute the sharpness of the drug. After all, Arkham is a hospital for the mentally unstable, so the medication over there will be of strong and severe doses. But their next challenge is distribution, because they are doing this on the low. They will need a connection who is out of the way and not within their normal networks. Who better than the Triad, who are restricted to Chinatown, to do this job? But here is where I have another complaint, because it seems like sometimes they ignore the need for secrecy in this movie, especially in times when I think it is needful. First, it was with Oswald meeting the Maronis at Blackwater Prison. They had almost everybody there. Now it is with the Triad. I thought they would go to some place quiet and private like to talk, but instead Oswald just dropped the bleach drug on the bar in the view of everyone. So it is one of those things I just don't understand. On the outside, it is Victor learning to apply his street smarts for once, but we learn that there are still dirty cops in Gotham. After all, these events are taking place within days of Mr. Falcone's death. Oswald and Sophia secure a meeting with the Triad boss on the condition that VT makes a call backing their position, and this is where things get a little bit rough, because this deal was supposed to be on the low, but then Oswald still has his blackmail cards off his sleeve and decides this is the time to play it. Victor, on the other hand, is still planning to leave Gotham, but he's still undecided, even though he told Graciela to buy 2 tickets, and I can understand his motivations, because in less than a week he has lost his family and his home, joined a crew of thieves, got caught by a gangster, helped set up a dead body, failed to plant a briefcase, dug a hole to bury 2 dead bodies in the middle of the night. So his life has gone from below 0 to 100 degrees way too fast, and seeing Graciela again may have reminded him of the reality of the situation and how dangerous his life has suddenly become. But for all his worth, living is not just going to be easy. After all, he's seen things and done things, so he doesn't even know if he will walk out alive when he decides to leave. And then we have the Penguin letting him know the rules to be respected on the street, while Audrey, because the waiter interrupts his speech because of the stutter he has, and Penguin is the perfect example to educate him, because Oswald himself is used to being discounted and ignored, as well as insulted because of the hitch in his step. Frankly, it is a miracle Oswald even made it to the top, or at least close to it, because his physical impediments mean he would normally never get the chance or be given a chance to do any street jobs. No one wants a person who cannot fight, defend, or run swiftly during an attack, and so I said for Oswald, it is a miracle he has come this far, and it is a testament to his mind and his will. And that is why he identifies easily with Victor, because while Victor has no physical impediment, his speech impediment means he will never get the respect he deserves without fighting for it. A gangster who stammers and stutters is not one with any standing in the streets unless they force the issue, and that is why Oswald tells him to take up space and dominate, or else he will be swept away. But they set up VT and Luca's wife in the blackmail scheme and make him place a call to the triad boss. So but before that, VT lets off a few shots of his own, telling Sophia that her partnership with Oswald is not as pure as she thinks. Once again, we see Oswald's reaction to being insulted by VT, and he nearly kills him for it, but holds himself back in time because he understands that there is a bigger picture in play. But I know that he has recorded that insult at the back of his mind, and VT will pay for that very soon. Well, the deal goes up with the triad boss, and Victor, on the other hand, is so conflicted by his desire to leave Gotham and make something for himself that he's having flashbacks of the explosions that destroyed the seawall, killing his family a few days back. But in the end, it leads to a showdown with Oswald, where they put their cards on the table, and with Victor expressing his fear of the consequences of living, and Oswald is even shocked that Victor thinks he's that valuable. But next up, Oswald and Sophia are talking outside the club following their deal with the triad, and now we find Sophia claiming innocence over the hangman issue that sent her to Arkham. Now we remember the hangman was said to have killed 8 women, and Sophia even getting sent to Arkham instead of life in prison or worse is a reminder of her father's power over the courtrooms in Gotham. But the real revelation here is Oswald being the one to report her to Mr. Falcone. Now we all know about snitching and the don't tell, don't ask policy of gangsters, but we also know these guys would use anything to get ahead of anyone. As for Oswald, that was his chance to move from being Sophia's driver into something more rewarding, and he got the club and the drugs business for it. That is a way better deal for a man wanting power and respect. And here, even while he's apologizing to Sophia, saying he didn't think they would send her to Arkham, we all know that if he had to make that choice again, Oswald is not hesitating. Victor is in Oswald's car at the train station, still undecided about his future, but in the end he decides that respect and power in Gotham is a better choice than going to California to escape the madness of his home. Now once again, remember, these events are happening merely days after the Falcone's death and the flooding of the lower Gotham, so it is wild to see Victor go from a normal kid whose worst crime might have been smoking or something milder to losing his home and his family, joining a crew of thieves to steal a car, and then working for a gangster where seeing dead bodies and having a hand in their disposal is seen as normal. So I understand why his stutters and mistakes are even far more emphasized, because the stakes are way higher. While Oswald and Sophia are having their little breakthrough, the directors reintroduced another volatile ingredient to the audience, and I am talking about the Maronis. Now remember, I said Oswald would need to explain Everett's death to the Maroni crew, but things have been moving so fast on his end, he probably delayed this meeting, and I can imagine the shock in the system when the Maronis turned up with guns, shouting about their agreement just when he had finally made some headway with Sophia. It is unclear how much she has spilled out Oswald's double crossing, but by the time Victor shows up with the car, ramming it into one of the Maronis, Oswald makes his escape. Now this little scene is so funny because Oswald was preaching forgiveness and reconciliation mere minutes ago, and now his only objective is to save his skin. Victor asks about Sophia, and Oswald is screaming "fuck Sophia" while telling him to drive, and I can only laugh because I imagine if Sophia heard that. But then I'm thinking, what if she found a way to escape during the chaos, or if the Maronis still have her? For Victor, he is now elevated from dispatching dead bodies to attempting to kill someone, and like I said, remember, all this is happening within a very small time frame. Well, we are on new ground right now. or nearly back to where we stood at points during episode 1 with Victor and Oswald on the run, and I personally want to see how they spin this. Because except Sophia died during or after Victor's appearance, she now has a better idea of the two-faced man she is in league with. It remains to be seen whether the Maronis still have her or if she escaped, because if they do have her, I'm sure she will learn all about Oswald's betrayal in true time. And even if she does, she's also on the outs with her family, so she has no real allies to turn to. So here are my predictions for episode 4. I think Sophia and the Maronis can come to an agreement which puts Sophia and the Maroni woman at the top of both their organizations, because they've seen the men mess it up severely. But this prediction is flawed because, as I said, Sophia has no strong allies to back her claim. So my second prediction is that Oswald wants to look at Falcone and tells him that Sophia is the one working with the Maronis. After all, it was her bodyguard that was found with the knife which killed Elvard in the basement. Now that was a wrap on this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Keep it locked in. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back.